We took a healthy bounce today in the markets. We needed to take a look ahead and see what is coming for us. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and Geppetto, his puppet son that he has. If you mix the puppet with some wine, do you get Pinot Grigio? All right, let's do this. We're going to take a look at SPY, QQQ. We'll toss in IWM as well and see where that's going. And then I want to talk about CrowdStrike a little bit because people have been asking me, is the bottom in for this thing? What are we looking at right now from a technical perspective? I got a few ideas that I want to share with you there. And then also Nvidia and Tesla, because Tesla got their earnings. And also I have some good news about Tesla, some exciting news that I think that you want to check out as well. So first, just real quick about CrowdStrike. Did you see this? Back in 2010, the CEO was the Chief Technology Officer of McAfee, and this was a tech disaster back then that took out quite a few thousand computers back in the day. And fast forward to 2024, here he's with CrowdStrike as the CEO, and probably coincidental in this case. I don't think it's specifically him, but man, oh man, that's gotta hurt to sort of be back here in this place and time. So we'll pull up the charts on CrowdStrike as well. I think they're very much worth looking at. But let's start with the markets, and then we'll get to some of the other stocks that I had talked about on this one. So here we're looking at SPY. So we're looking at the S&P, the ETF that tracks the S&P 500. There we go. Stretch that out. And I said in my morning video that we were below the 20-day SMA. We are now back above. We have the 20-day SMA as support. So we can change this to say above instead of below, and that's entirely different because that means that we could potentially see a further bounce from here. And honestly, the CrowdStrike stuff is big enough that I think that's a major catalyst for what had moved the markets on Friday, and then today kind of bouncing things out a little bit. So above the 20-day, we have it as support. We'll see where that takes us. We do have this major support line here, this trend line support that we want to watch for. Should we break back down below that 20-day to the upside of this thing, we need to look and see that we're going back to that all-time high. We still at this point in time have a higher low. That's still in a bullish direction. So as I mentioned in my morning video, if you haven't watched it, please go back and watch it because it's very informative, especially where the overall indices are involved. I think now's the time to be cautiously bullish. I don't think now's the time to be overly bearish about anything because I think that we could miss still some significant rallies that could be waiting for us, especially during this earnings season. If we go over to QQQ, how did it do today? Well, we got to bounce off the 50 EMA support. We were seeing that in the pre-market, and you see a little bit of a drawing here for the head and shoulders pattern. That doesn't even exist yet. Just so you know, that was a potentiality just in case we don't break above 487, 488. Pretty much even with what we have for the left shoulder that's over here. And so otherwise, this is just a bounce right now. We don't really know anything. Like I said, cautiously bullish, I think is the way to be. And staying up above the 50 and the 200-day is the way to go. RSI also getting near, crossing back up over 50. So this could be a bit of a correction in time that we saw. And now we're starting to take some of that enjoyment back up, some of the levity in the markets today after such a significant sell-off during that time. So we had the cooling off period, and now we'll see where things go. All right, Bitcoin, give an update on that. We are up over 68,000. We keep on getting these, let me put these on screen here for you, and let me hide that so you can really focus on the candles. Look at the low wicks that we're getting on Bitcoin. We still have that buying pressure going into Bitcoin right now, and I think that that is going to be a boon to us. I think we have that 70,000 on the horizon, and if we can overtake 70,000, then we have our run at the all-time high. Let me put the drawings back up for a moment. Critical resistance right across this trend line. That's the white one that you see here. The yellow is the 70,000 as I have it labeled. This trend line right here is from the previous peaks, and we want to be working on that to try and reach up beyond that all-time high of nearly 74,000. If we do take a run at it, I think that that can be the time that we finally punch through. So we'll have to watch and see, and if we do, that could be a final hurrah for us before another cooling period. So we'll watch for them. Over to Nvidia. Nvidia said that we have a gap to fill up to 125. We filled it to 124.07 today. So almost a 5% increase in Tesla's price from Friday's close. So nice time on Nvidia. There are some things to watch. If we don't break up over this trendline resistance, there's a gap to fill all the way down from 96 to 102. And be watchful for that. And there are some other areas of support in between, such as about 110 is where we find the prices pick up here. So that 110 down to about 106. We had a little bit of a fill there. So we just want to be on the watch if we break that 50-day. Like I said, I covered it in my morning video. You go ahead and check that out. Tesla is going to be one of our first big tells, I think, and listening to see if Elon says anything else about further buying of Nvidia parts, although I think that this is something that they're going to pull back from because they said they're no longer compute constrained. So I don't think they're going to have as heavy a spending on Nvidia parts and services during the second quarter for their earnings. But their earnings themselves, I'll just bring this to your attention because I will talk about it. My next video that I put out, I'm going to see if I can get it out to you tonight. If I don't get it out tonight, I'll get it out as early as I can tomorrow morning on my Tesla earnings projection that will give my bias on whether I'm going long or short on their earnings. If I do decide to pick a direction, I do want to share that with you. I'll also share it with my stock group. If you want to join that stock group, that link is down in the description. You can see my buys and sells, see my technical analyses that I put over there as they come out, and then also you can talk with me and my community members. So for Tesla, I said over in the stock group this morning that we could settle around 250 leading into earnings. Today we closed at about 250. Let me see where we closed at here. We closed at 251.51 in the post market, right about the same price. So kind of putting us in the middle of like 231 and 271. So $20 in either direction. And so we could get a significant movement, I think, to either one of those places. That's this bottom line here at the bottom of this support or this top line that you have up here. If we get strongly positive earnings, that's going to really light up this stock price prediction of that $300. If we go soft on earnings and fall down through the bottom of this kind of consolidation pattern that we have, then I think that 200 is going to be on the horizon instead. Now, mind you, with what I've worked up so far, there's, I think, a lot of things to be a lot of things I have promise over, but I need to finish with the numbers that I have before I give my final analysis on that. And like I said, that'll be my next video that I put out. You'll most definitely want to be watching for that one. So subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to make sure that you catch that when it comes out. All right, CrowdStrike. Holy cow. So CrowdStrike had a bit of a terrible day on Friday and bounced off the 200-day. And I think that may have been about it if over the weekend things got resolved, things were kind of going back to normal. But the fact that things, issues were still ongoing as of today led to just a much further sell from where we're at before. So we had the amount drop that we had was about 11% on Friday. And then today, if I move the red candle out of my way, we were down about 13.5%. And so let me reset the view and let's look at this on a monthly basis because I think there's something important to see there. It's this. Look at that. This is a major pain phase. Mind you, this was like I searched extreme pain face or face of extreme pain, I think is what I searched to find an image. And this one came up for carpal tunnel syndrome of all things. I don't know, but I don't know. It looks pretty painful to me, but look at that. Look at that red pepper that we have. That's disgusting. So in the month of July, on the monthly chart here, down 31% from this just amazing ride that we've had, going up about 4x from this low down here to the peak of this thing, and then things going kind of terribly, kind of sideways for us. So the monthly chart, we are still in bullish territory in the RSI, just above 50. And if we drill down to the weekly chart from here, you can see that we did close down below the 50-week simple moving average. That's the blue line here, and the 50 exponential moving average. The 50-week one that we have is the red one that you see up here. If we're able to recover back up above those, then we have ourselves probably a decent bounce coming. We have gone bearish on a weekly basis thanks to this strong selling that we saw. And when we looked at the RSI on a daily basis, it really puts us in an oversold territory. Just how low is it, though? Let me move this up so we can see for that. Well, we closed down at an RSI of about 18.25 is what it's out on the daily chart. We could see additional selling pressure if the issues persist. If we don't get any sort of significant resolution sometime soon, then that mitigates the chance that we get a significant bounce coming. And one thing that I said over in my stock group was that I'm waiting to see if we get a further drop. Basically, with what we see in the weekly chart, with the moving averages, will we get an engulfing candle that sends us back above them? That what we've seen right now has been overdone? Or is it going to be a case where we kind of partially come back on the daily chart, hit our heads on the 200-day, and then sell back down? That's something that I'm absolutely watching for. Today's volume, by the way, even bigger than what we had on Friday's volume. So this is a very high conviction move that you see as people dump out of CrowdStrike. And so I don't know that we necessarily see that money flowing back in. This is a big hit to reputation because stability is something that absolutely has to be counted on by just the industries that are relying on this working. And it really only affected the Windows machines, but still Windows, pretty darn huge operating system, as we know. Thank you, Microsoft. So putting this back up here, here's what I see. And let me grab my paintbrush tool, because what I think we could see happening is we could see it drift back up this way, bonk off the 200-day, which is right here. So drift up, bonk, and then possibly sell back down. So that's something that I'm watching for, to see if we get signs of a further sell, watching that retracement, putting in some sort of a short position as we get near that 200, and watching for the rejection with the stop up above it. So the stop would be up here, and then looking for that price target be somewhere down below where we saw it off before. So those are some quick ideas that I have on CrowdStrike. And for Tesla, like I said, if you want to see my earnings projection that I have for it, and help you decide if you want to take a position, or if you want to anticipate direction, be on the lookout for my next video that comes out. I'd absolutely love to share that with you guys. And if you want to see what I have going on over at my stock group, that link for the Patreon is down in the description. Click that, sign up, come on over to the Discord, talk to me and the community members. We'd absolutely love to have you over there, and also see my buys and sells. And if you want to know what I base my buys and sells on with those technicals, and how to produce the technicals yourself, there's a link down in the description for the technical analysis trading course. So you guys can go ahead and check that out as well. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.